this is Lee back once again for another review. I'm getting a little tired, but I feel like I'm on a roll with some of these, and I want to just keep going. Of course, now, if you sit and watch 7.5 hours of wrestling, and then get up the next day and watch 7.5 more hours of wrestling, you're going to be very tired. And you're going to be even more tired if you wrestle 2 matches, and the next day wrestle 2 more matches for 250 fans. But that's the life of a Shimmer wrestler. I can only imagine. Well, Volume 48 is next on my list of digital versatile discs for my collection to review. I did not see the show live, but nevertheless, this was the wrap-up for the Sunday show of the 4-volume Shimmer weekend. And while I enjoyed this volume as I did the others, I do have some criticisms for it, for at least the DVD product, so I'll be getting back to that soon. Now, the visual quality of this weekend, as with the last, was excellent. I think the shows have improved by leaps and bounds in terms of production quality. From 37 on, you can see a dramatic improvement, and even in the more recent volumes. So overall, I think Shimmer is using their resources well to present a more polished product as time goes on. So no criticism there, and they have some interesting artwork. Here you can see the looming visage of sweet Saraya Knight, the mum of Paige from the WWE, known as Britain here, who has taken her leave of the promotion to go to the big time, and of course cheerleader Melissa holding her belt, looking a little threatened. Now, cheerleader Melissa has changed her look. Around this time, I believe she appeared in TNA with the one night only Knockouts Knockdown. I would have to double check the actual dates for that, but there was a 2013 version. It was recorded and then shown many months later on pay-per-view. There was a 2014 edition. Now, of course, the Shimmer wrestlers tend to come in, they fight a match, they lose to one of the TNA regular knockouts, and that's that. But I'm always happy for them when they can make those appearances in the big time to show off their skills. And cheerleader Melissa has changed her look over the years. Back when she was Alyssa Flash for TNA, although she did debut as cheerleader Melissa, she and Daisy Hayes had a match. Very impressive. She has changed her look. Many of the wrestlers, there's a bit of a tension between being themselves, which I think they should do, and changing themselves in order to conform to whatever standards the major promotions demand. And that usually involves plastic surgery or the outfits they wear, hair color, makeup, all those kinds of things. The women that really want to be in the big time, they will usually bend over backwards to achieve that expectation. Others will maintain who they are and still try aggressively to get in. I'm thinking of Mercedes Martinez, who had one match in WWF, and some of these wrestlers have had dark matches. They were not recorded, but nevertheless, those in charge decided not to put them on television. Lufisto had a dark match for TNA, as I believe many others have. And it's unfortunate that some are not given a chance simply because of the way they look. They don't fit a certain stereotype of a model. But then others, out of the blue, are given chances. People like Jessica Havoc, appeared on TNA for a while. So you just never know. But with Shimmer, you get to experience all of these regardless. And it's quite fun. But moving on to the actual matches, I think that's what we came for. See Spinelli versus the New York Knockout. 2 very confident women going head to head. Of course, the New York Knockout, very full of herself, very vain, almost like kind of a diva-esque character. We've seen characters like this before in Shimmer, kind of mocking the idea of the woman wrestler who is used to getting by on her looks and not her abilities. But nevertheless, these sort of stereotypical diva Shimmer wrestlers Nevertheless, they do more moves than most television women's wrestlers. They still show that actually they are a cut above. Of course, the thing to keep in mind is many of the women wrestlers on television can wrestle better matches than they do. They are just simply not allowed to. That's something to keep in mind. Now, of course, the stereotype is the model who can't wrestle. But many of those models can wrestle. They're just not allowed to. So just bear that in mind. It's not always the performer's fault if they don't appear to have, amazing matches on television. But Casey Spinelli and the New York Knockout go at it, and it's entertaining. Good match to start off the second half. And once again, these are wrestlers that are in that unenviable position of having to get the fans re-energized for the second half. They're exhausted by this point, most of them, and some of them have left. Next we have Mia Yim and Davina Rose, once again a team of underdogs, as I say, versus Melanie Cruz and Mina Libra. What do we have here? The bullies again. The big bullies. I wish these two giants would have been played up more as a threat. I think they're a good team. They're good wrestlers individually. But the plucky underdogs versus the cowardly bully heels. So. Shazza McKenzie versus Rhea O'Reilly. I enjoy Rhea O'Reilly quite a bit. Shazza McKenzie not as much. I think in her native Australia, in her promotions, she's much more charismatic. I think she can do more. She's just playing a different character. I think I'll probably have to give this match another chance. Some of these matches, I feel bad. I feel like they didn't leave a strong impression on me the first time, but maybe if I watch them again with just a fresh set of eyes, yes, a fresh set of eyes, I could maybe see more good in them. But I'm just giving you more the impressions that I had the first time around, because I can give every wrestler credit, but I don't want to say that the match is good if I didn't like it, if it didn't stand out to me. So that's just how I am. Moving on, of course, Rhea O'Reilly, a fun wrestler overall. Shazza McKenzie, kind of a lovable goof. Kana versus Kelly Skater. Now Kana, a wonderful wrestler, very threatening on her own, very powerful. When Lufisto isn't around to kind of turn her into more of a happy-go-lucky clown at times, seeing her individually, her fierceness comes out, and seeing Kelly Skater up against her, I think does more for Kelly Skater to turn her into more of a serious wrestler. Now Kana, of course, would not respect someone like Kelly Skater, thinking she is foolish and will be put in her place with a lot of kicks, probably, and a few submission holds. Kelly Skater will be angry with herself if she doesn't do her best to win, and I think this increases the seriousness with which the trajectory of Kelly Skater's career was going with Shimmer. So I think she gained a lot of supporters that night, and I think she even gave a promo where she said something like, "I'm sick and tired of everyone taking me like a joke," and she was going to do it for real this time. I miss the delusional heel skater, but nevertheless I enjoy this skater as well. The Ray Tank is now becoming more of a threat. So, good match overall, I would say. Mischief and Christina Von Eerie, Misery, versus Haley Hatred and Calamity. Wonderful. Great matchup. No problem whatsoever. Christina Von Eerie, of course, would become a better wrestler over time. I think she has improved since these matches were recorded. But nevertheless, she and Mischief make a good team thematically. And, of course, Haley Hatred and Calamity I enjoyed as a team. And so seeing them face off was wonderful. Athena versus Ray. I liked this match. Of course, I enjoy Rey and her high-flying tactics. Now, Athena has some aerial moves of her own, so seeing the two of them together, of course, Rey very slender, Athena more stocky of a character, despite her small stature. So the two of them, I think, complement one another in their abilities. It's a good match. Now we have the Shimmer Tag Team title match, and there will be spoilers. Now, this was multiple tag teams going at it. Ayumi Kurihara and Yaku Hamada, of course. Wonderful team. The champions at the time, of course. Versus Portia Perez and Nicole Matthews, the hated Canadian ninjas. The people we love to hate. Alice in Danger and Leva Bates, Regeneration X. Kind of a comedy team, more than anything. But beloved in their own way. And Sarah Del Rey and Courtney Rush, the team that no one expected. The team that no one expected to win. But nevertheless, queens of winning. A very short-lived tag team. But there you go. Eventually, they would become the tag team champions. And then they would lose the belts, I should say, plural, outside of Shimmer. And when we return, the Canadian Ninjas, I believe, were the next champions once again. So that was a bit disappointing. I think it was the case that since Sarah Del Rey was leaving, they probably wanted to give her one more title run. They couldn't make her the champion, so they allowed her to be a tag team with Courtney Rush, who her rising status was going somewhere. And then, of course, losing the belt made a change in her character a bit. But there you go. I miss Hamada and Kurihara as tag team champions at this point. I did not want the ninjas to win, and so I was just happy to see that they were going to be taken out eventually by someone. So, there you have it. Finally, we get to the main event of the evening. Of the second evening, the double evening, whatever you will. The Shimmer title match. Cheerleader Melissa versus Saraya Knight. Now, there is a bonus feature at the end of this digital versatile disc, and I will talk about that in a moment because I have some serious criticisms of how it was handled. But nevertheless, Cheerleader Melissa versus Saraya Knight, a good match. I don't think it needed anything else. Of course, the two of them are rivals, but there's no need for anything else. The fact is that Cheerleader Melissa was the champion. Saraya Knight is a bad person. She wanted the championship for her daughter, but really for herself. Her daughter left because her mother was too pushy and too violent and too bullying. Saraya was on her own. She was angry. She was angry at Shimmer. She was angry at the fans. She was angry enough to want to take the title for herself, if for no other reason than to spite them all for interfering with her plans. And that's enough. There's no need to create any other storylines. But what Shimmer did, and I'm not sure whose idea it was, but I think it was a bad idea. And I'll explain why. Basically, what we had is a bonus feature on this digital versatile disc. I don't know if this was part of the live show. I can't imagine the fans sitting down and watching all of these vignettes to explain the story to them. But perhaps it did happen. I could do a little research to find out if that's true. But if I had been there, I would have shrugged my shoulders. I would have felt annoyed by it. But I'll explain. The history of Cheerleader Melissa and Saraya Knight's rivalry. On the back there. Now, I think it's quite enough to say, well, they had some matches and some other promotions, and they've been rivals. Maybe show a couple clips, that's fine. But what they did was essentially they talked about this match that had happened in the past, not connected with Shimmer at all. Cheerleader Melissa and Sweet Saraya Knight had a match, and supposedly it was a big, fight. It was a big match, and the way they explain it is, well, see, Saraya Knight was injured in the match. Saraya Knight was injured, okay? Now, Saraya is a bad person. as a wrestler. And cheerleader Melissa, though she's been bad in the past, is good now. She plays a baby face, as they say. Well, so Saraya Knight is the heel, and they're having this match, and it was claimed that one of the fans was kind of absent-mindedly picking away at this pop can, this aluminum can, tearing off the edges, so there was like a sharp kind of pointy edge to the can, which is very strange. Who would do this? And it was claimed that as the two wrestlers were brawling through the crowd, as they often do in these matches, that Saraya hit her knee on this pop can, and that it cut the soda, edge cut into her kneecap and almost popped it off, and there was blood. You can see in many of Saraya's Knight's matches, looking back, that she wears padding, extra padding on one of her knees underneath the knee pad, and it's possible this is, of course, the injury they're talking about. So anyway, you could see blood underneath the knee pad at this point. You didn't see what actually happened, but at this point, cheerleader Melissa goes over. She does a couple of kicks aimed at the injury. Then the officials pull her away. They basically end the match. Saraya Knight is like screaming, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna kill her. And then it kind of ends from there. Then they show us Saraya at home, smiling, out of character. They show her with, I think, a brace. They show her x-rays, photos of the scars. It's kind of hard to watch if you're not used to this sort of thing. The real-life injury, there was even mention of, she could have lost her leg. And then a promo, I guess, of her basically telling Melissa that, she's a bad person because she tried to attack the injury and all this sort of thing, and she was going to come back and get her. And here's where it breaks down for me. Because Shimmer has spent all this time promoting and building up cheerleader Melissa as a good person, a wronged woman. She has tried so hard to become the champion, and she's had so many opportunities that have been pulled away from her. Other people have cheated her out of her opportunities, and she's just fought harder and harder, and she's not been cheating her way to the top like some of these others. She's not been so lucky. She's been trying so hard. She's been with the company since day one. Of course, she started out as a bad person, but she became a fan favorite very early on. And Saraya Knight, from day one that she has been in Shimmer, has been a bad and evil, a wicked person, cheating constantly, breaking the family-friendly image of Shimmer with her profanity, with her attacking fans, with her, brutal. Just, there's nothing admirable at all about her character in the ring. So this is the image that Shimmer has been pouring on us all these years, and suddenly now they're going to take a real life incident that happened in a different promotion at a different time between these two wrestlers and play it off as if this injury, which was an accident, created real-life hatred between the two, but didn't change anything. It's very confusing. Perhaps some other fans can explain it to me, those with more information. This was played off as if cheerleader Melissa purposely hurt Saraya Knight. Now, first of all, as everyone knows, wrestling is not real. It is staged, it's choreographed, faked, scripted. It's not an actual competition. I shouldn't have to say that, but there you go. But accidents do happen. Countless wrestlers have been injured countless times by botched spots, as they say, mistakes. Sometimes a move doesn't go as planned and someone gets hurt. There have been legitimate cases of wrestlers snapping and attacking each other for real in the ring, but this didn't come across as one of those. This came across as a freak accident, that her kneecap was injured that way. And the thing is, when a real injury happens in a match, usually it's an injury where the match cannot continue on. There's just no way. Usually they say, well, the show must go on, just as actors in the theater do. And they try to finish the match, but they often can't. Well, when this happens, it is very typical for one wrestler to pretend to attack the injured wrestler, even though they're clearly injured for real, to pretend to attack them. And often it's a stalling tactic, because the match is, the fans will feel cheated because it's ending too soon. It's understandable, but it's ending too soon, so they try to play it off as, well, we're ad-libbing, oh, I'm going to attack you some more, and it gives them an opportunity to get close, so they can talk to them like, are you okay? Oh, you're hurt for real? Okay, we're stopping. Get help. That kind of thing. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to imagine that in this fake wrestling match, where these two wrestlers are pretending to be rivals, pretending to hurt each other, pretending they even want to hurt each other, having this fake match, and then all of a sudden, oops, you got hurt for real. Oh, suddenly I'm going to go crazy and just attack you for real. Like I really want to injure you. Like I don't realize like I'm going to injure you. I mean, was Melissa angry that, oh, you got yourself hurt, now you've ruined the match, well, I'm going to hurt you for real? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. What evidence is there? Were charges ever pressed? Was there a court case? Did Saraya sue? Sorry, her name is, what is her name? Yes, because that's not her ring name. Julie Hamer. Did Julie Hamer sue Melissa Anderson in court? Did she press charges? Was there a police investigation? Well, if there wasn't, then it didn't happen. It wasn't real. It was an accident. Cheerleader Melissa pretended to hurt Sweet Saraya, and then when she was in the hospital, she creates a fake promo. Well, the fans are like, well, what's going on? Oh yeah, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to hurt her because she attacked me when I was down. Well, here's the problem with that. In wrestling, that happens all the time. If this had not been a real injury, if Saraya had pretended as part of the storyline to be injured, then of course Melissa would have gone after the injury. And it would have seemed brutal, but it would have been part of the story. And if the roles were reversed, they would have done the same thing. That's very common in wrestling. Oh, I hurt myself. Oh, really? Well, let me hit it some more. And if it's the good guy doing it, either they have had a turn and they become a heel at that point, or they're cheered on because the bad guy's so bad, it's like, great, take advantage. He got hurt, take advantage. It's legitimate. But because it was a real injury, it doesn't appear, just with the footage they showed us, that cheerleader Melissa did anything wrong. And yet the narration, the editing, everything's played off as if we are now supposed to have sympathy for Sweet Saraya. We're supposed to love Sweet Saraya. She's smiling at home, out of character. She has a real injury. She almost lost her leg. And then we're supposed to believe that the promoters of Shimmer are so smart and are so savvy with the law that they are going to take two people who hate each other in real life and want to hurt each other and assault each other in real life into a match together where they have the opportunity to do it again. That doesn't make any sense. If Saraya really wanted to harm, if Julie Hamer really wanted to harm Melissa Anderson for real, why would you put them together in a match? That doesn't make any sense. If cheerleader Melissa, and Sweet Saraya Knight, the characters, are together in a match, that's perfectly fine. So I think I've made a long story short, but a short story long, rather. I think that Shimmer made a mistake here. I think they should have just left it alone. I mean, fans know that Backstage Story, but who cares? It's not part of the thing. I mean, I'm glad that Sweet Saraya recovered from her injury. I'm glad that they're both able to wrestle, but if they really hated each other that much, I would never put them in a match together. It doesn't make any sense. They're both professionals. There was a recent incident of two Japanese wrestlers where they call this normally they say wrestling is a work, meaning this is a job. My job is to pretend to fight you. Your job is to pretend to fight me. and vice versa. We're playing roles. This is like acting. This theater. It's a television show. They're just characters. We're playing characters. That's what they use the phrase work. And a shoot is when they say it's real. Like boxing is supposed to be a real fight. Both of the boxers are trying to knock the other one out. They're not just pretending, like I'm going to pretend to hit you and you're going to pretend to react to my punch. And it's going to tell a story and entertain the fans, but it's not an actual fight. The work versus shoot, it's... But once in a while, like in this example, Yoshiko, I think it was, an act... I forget her last name, but it was a smaller wrestler. But this big wrestler, they were about to have a match, and essentially, like, almost right off the bat, Yoshiko, she just punched her in the face. Like, really hard, like, really punched her. And it was kind of strange. Like, what happened? Were they arguing backstage before the match? Did they have some professional jealousy? What was happening? We don't know. I don't know. I don't speak Japanese, but throughout the match it was disgusting because this other wrestler, the two of them would go and they would come together and they'd do the spot where it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this move, you react to it this way, and of course you help each other do moves. They start to do the moves, and then Yoshiko would just like hit her for real. And she'd sit on her with all her weight. She kept doing this, and the other wrestler was getting hurt. She was bleeding, and she kept, she was talking to the people backstage, and they're like, what's going on? And eventually they had to just pull them apart and say, it's over, it's done. And at the very end, Yoshiko, and I believe the head of the promoter, her manager, all these people, they all apologized to the press. And if this was a work, it was done so well that it fooled me and it fooled everyone. But word is that it was a shoot, meaning she broke character. She broke all the professional rules of wrestling, and she made it real. And because her opponent was not actually trying to fight, she was trying to, well, we're doing this match. Why are you hitting me? This doesn't make any sense. If that had happened in the case of Melissa and Saraya, I don't think they ever would have had a match together, ever. If Melissa did that for real, if she did in Shimmer, first of all, she'd be out of Shimmer. She'd be fired. Never to return. If Saraya had done it, she would be fired. Why would they bring her back? It doesn't make any sense. Or if they did, they would not have them working together. Why would they do that? Unless they settled already, they had their court case and decided, okay, well, we're going to wrestle. Don't worry, we won't try to hurt each other. But then we'll make it the storyline that we're trying to hurt each other? I don't understand. So, in doing this, Shimmer basically said, hey everybody, wrestling is fake. Oh, no wait, no it's real. No it's fake again. No it's real. I don't know. It's silly. So, I could go on and on about this, but I think if you take this digital versatile disc, look at all these wonderful matches. Just take this part right here. Just delete. It's gone. Okay. Now I fixed it for you. It's a good show. There was no need for this side plot. It's trivia, it's interesting, but it just doesn't have any place in it. So I think wrestling companies and writers, they always take a risk when they mix real life stuff with the fantasy world of wrestling. Wrestling is not believable. It's like superheroes, it's unbelievable, but if you accept certain things, you can buy the rest. It makes sense. But if you pretend at times, oh, it's not real, it is real, it's not real, whatever. I think wrestling got into this problem with the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars. They started taking things from wrestlers' personal lives and trying to turn it into storyline angles. And usually it came out of nowhere. It created all kinds of contradictions, plot holes. It threw the fans for a loop, and it was done for shock value, and it just was not a good idea. I think it ruined a lot of credibility of wrestling. But it was done in a desperate move to try to outdo all the other competitors and just be like a soap opera, not just a soap opera, but like a trash TV, like a Jerry Springer, and these various television programs where they look at people's personal lives and basically, turn it into entertainment, laugh at people's personal problems, jeer at people, and so forth. So, I didn't like that part of 48 at all, but otherwise, very good show, So you can watch that part if you want. If you own the DVD, you'll probably watch it. But if you're like me, you'll just think it was a waste. And maybe they thought they were taking a risk with it, but it was a waste. So there you go. So there's my review. Not entirely positive, but overall a good ending to a wonderful Shimmer weekend. And I'll be reviewing more in the near future. So thank you very much for your time. And thank you for listening to my rant there. And Shimmer, if you're listening, don't do that again. It didn't work. So, but otherwise, other things you're doing are great. Keep it up. All right.